Okay, so this is the second half of the 1.6 video, and I apologize if there was a break in there. I got interrupted while I was shooting that one, but it really covered everything you would need. So these are just kind of some extra examples if you're still not understanding. So the first one has secant of theta equals -3/2, and tangent is greater than 0. So when I see secant, I'm going to look back at my chart and realize that that's the relative of cosine. So secant is a reciprocal of cosine. So cosine would be -2/3. So cosine is negative. And remember, cosine had to do with my x values. So that's either going to be in quadrant 2 or 3. So let's remember our quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4. So cosine is negative. That means x is negative. And tangent was positive. So tangent is our y over our x, and it's positive. So y over x is greater than 0. Well, if x is less than 0, but y divided by x is greater than 0, that means y has to be less than 0 also. That puts us in quadrant 3. Next thing we're going to do is draw our reference triangle. So we're in quadrant 3. That means I'm going to draw a triangle to the x-axis. And this is my reference triangle. And adjacent is -2. Hypotenuse is 3. Hypotenuse is always positive. Next thing I'm going to do is find the missing side there. So -2 squared plus y squared equals 3 squared. 4 plus y squared equals 9. Y squared equals 5. And we're going to take the square root of 5. Now, this is in quadrant 3. That means that value is negative because of which quadrant we're in. Once I have that filled in, I can go back and fill in all 6 trig ratios. Whoops, switched up my order there. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Opposite over adjacent. And flip. Next example, we have cosecant of alpha is -3/2, and cotangent alpha is less than 0. So cosecant was the relative of sine, so that means sine is -2/3, so we'd flip it. Cotangent is less than 0, that means tangent is less than 0. And if tangent is negative, that means that they're opposite signs. And sine went with y, so y is less than 0. And if they're opposite signs, that means x is greater than 0. So let's think about what quadrant. X would be positive and y would be negative. That would be in quadrant 4. Now we draw a reference triangle in quadrant 4, and it's always drawn to the x-axis. Whoops, it's alpha. It's a fishy. Okay, and so I've got sine is -2/3. So it's going down 2, and the hypotenuse is 3. We need our x. Whoops. Now on this one, when I take the square root, I'm going to go with a positive square root of 5 because in this quadrant, x is positive. And then you can fill in your other values.